All right, welcome to the Max Effort Kitchen podcast. We are your host. My name is Matt. This is Cornell. Cornell, how you doing today? What's been going on? Man, it's been forever since we've been on the mic, so this is great.
Yeah, it's been a couple weeks. I know I was out of town for a weekend. I'll be out of town in 2 weeks as well. Yep. And then I know you had Maddie's event last weekend.
Oh yeah. What was the weekend before that? There was something, right? Or that was the weekend you were out of town.
I think so. I have no competitions.
Competition. That's what it is. Yeah.
And then also last weekend, there was 2 competitions in 2 weeks, and I was out of town the week before that. And then just been slammed busy. But we're not like all the other podcasts that have just stopped weightlifting or talking about weightlifting.
It's crazy.
I don't know how everyone else feels, but there's literally no new content out right now.
It's nuts. Like, there's always like the archive of Weightlifting House. But like outside of that, I just can't find anything.
Yeah, it's hard because there's podcasts that started out weightlifting and then have kind of veered away, and they're much more into strength and conditioning, and like it's just kind of how some people's lives go. But if you're like no offense, but if you're a true weightlifter, like you don't care that much about strength and conditioning.
Yeah.
Like you want to know about weightlifting.
Exactly.
And also, if you're a weightlifter over a coach, like there's a couple out there that touch on a lot of coaching stuff, but it's just like, I don't need to hear an hour and a half of like what your opinion is the best way of programming. I think the best program is the one that you enjoy doing.
Yeah, I mean, come on, that's gold right there. And you make a really good point of the idea, like, we really hit on the very like lower level of weightlifting, the programming part. We hit on the mental side, what we're doing. We're using ourselves as an example, but it's like it's all focused around weightlifting, and to me, I just talk about the things that affect myself and you, and I try to be relatable, but at the end of the day, it's like let's have some more weightlifting podcasts and content out there, because I need something to listen to, and I don't want to listen to my own voice all the time. Like, it's crazy, man. I think when I came into weightlifting, there was a lot, right? I mean, 2019, I mean, it was in the, all the COVID times where everybody was, podcasting, and that was a big push and stuff, but still there was a lot.
Yeah. Man, I can't even think of all of them, but there's one of my old favorite shows that I can't even find like archives anymore, was called The Everyday Weightlifter with Phil Sabatini.
Yeah.
And since he just retired, I was like, oh, I remember his podcast. And I kind of just searched for it, and I found I think a Weightlifting House podcast where they interviewed him, and he even talked about it then. And I was like, I can't find anything on it anymore. And I remember that was a great show.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they just kind of broke it down and talked about normal weightlifting stuff, and not anything too crazy, but just a lot of the same stuff we do.
Yeah, exactly.
And now like there's literally nothing. So
it's really weird, because it just kind of happened over like a 3 or 4 week span where I'm like, wait a minute. I've listened to all these. I tend to fall asleep to these because they're too technical, and and then what else is there? There's nothing else. And listen, I'm gonna call out one person. Russell Jordan, dude, get it together, bro. You make good content, and I like listening to it. Like, figure out a way to do it, because and that's all in happy and love, and like we just like hearing you. And I also kind of like your controversial bullshit that you put out there, because it sparks entertainment, and it sparks conversation. So this is my message to you. If you listen to this, get out there. Come on, let's get it back going.
Yeah, no, that would be freaking awesome. Yeah. I don't want to have to start like messaging and getting a hold of like professional weightlifters or top level US weightlifters and try to get them on here. But hey,
right.
We might have to do what we might have
to do it, right? I mean, shoot. Yeah, no, dude. we're just going to keep on doing what we're doing, bringing you as much content in the weightlifting world. With that said, if you have something you want to talk to us about, if you want to be on the show, whatever, just reach out. I mean, we're all about it. And
I do have one ace up my sleeve to try to bring back at least the morning brew from Weightlifting House. I'm gonna kind of call them out.
Yeah,
I'm a Patreon member, and I know I'm only paying $4 a month, but I'm not getting anything for that $4 a month. And I kind of got sick of it, like probably 8 months ago. So I'm like, you know what? It's not worth it. And
worth it.
I canceled my $1 a week. And then guess what happened 2 weeks later? They were back.
Yeah, exactly.
But I know that they're going through a lot right now, and the Olympics are coming up, and blah blah blah. But
come on now, figure it out, right?
Yeah. So
we like listening to you people. That's where this is coming from. Yeah, no, it's a good thing. Content breeds conversation, which breeds, I guess, a love for the sport. It just enhances your time in the sport. And yeah, let's just do it. I did want to say one thing before we, fully move on. And this doesn't have anything to do with podcasts, so I took a right turn. But you did mention Maddie's thing. I'm going to give a quick shout out. She kicked ass. She got 1 gold, 2 silvers, possibly qualified for a bigger meet, or a bigger track meet, which is a mind-blowing thing in its own. But I just want to say, what's up, Maddie? Great job. And there's your shout out. Woohoo. Yeah. Yay. Okay. So have you cooked anything fun lately?
So we've experimented quite a bit.
Okay.
My wife, so I didn't think that I was that crazy for getting a meat grinder. It's like, yeah, people can just
do it.
Yeah. It's $45, not a big deal.
Yeah.
My mother-in-law was she's constantly dieting. It's like, she's a little older. She's probably mid-60s now, and her metabolism's not what it used to be. And she's just someone who's your typical like American who just goes to the store, buys stuff. Oh yeah, orange juice is healthy, and like multi-grain bread is healthy, and like everything's healthy if the government says it is. And
yeah, right.
If you want to really dig down that rabbit hole, we can get into that, but I don't think we want to talk about that right now.
No.
But what she has pretty much come to realize with her research is a lot of the grains that are out there there's so much process that goes through everything to make it shelf stable and to do all this kind of stuff. So that's part of the reason why so much of the grain is not good for you. Right. So she ended up buying a grain mill. So she's now milling her own flour.
Okay.
And supposedly, I haven't done any research. This is all word of mouth, secondhand from my wife. It's much healthier.
Okay. Well, I can understand that. I can understand the concept of being more healthy because, and in fact, I just used this example of your mother-in-law on a show, my other show with Sarah, about how when you're going down deep and down into that aspect of milling your own grain, you have a certain aspect of control. Now, I don't know where she's getting her grain. So there's your lack of control right there. But you're milling your own grain to get to a product that you can have control on. And I understand that aspect. I guess if she really wanted to claim it could be healthy, I guess figure out where she's getting the grain from, and then we can really take that dive. But there's probably less processed stuff going in that bread, I'm going to guess. Sure. It's not being mass produced, and anything that's not mass produced is going to have it's going to have a shorter shelf life, and a shorter shelf life means less processed, less chemicals put in it.
Yep.
So, and I would imagine, and I would love to hear your feedback, but you've tasted it, right?
Oh yeah. No, I get a lot of bread.
So in your professional opinion, is it better to eat? Do you like it better?
So I come from a family of bakers and dessert makers and people who just make lots of delicious stuff.
Yep.
There's a difference between better and like delicious.
Okay.
I wouldn't say it's better because
Okay.
there's something about like Skippy peanut butter strawberry jam on white Wonder bread. Like there's not a lot that can realistically beat that.
No, I agree 100%.
But what I would say, I told my wife this, so I'll just throw this little bit in there. My mother-in-law got a base level one, and then she ended up buying a new one with my wife that does a lot more. So now we have one at my house.
Oh, awesome.
So it's going on at my house now too.
Okay.
And they both bought this same cookbook, and they're working from different ends. I think my mother-in-law is going from the front back, and my wife's going from the back front. So what I told my wife is, I said, this is great. If I never bought bread again, I would not miss it.
Right.
But I wouldn't say that like I said, there's something about that classic nostalgic white bread and peanut butter and jelly or something like that. But I would never take a slice of Wonder Bread and put some butter on it and eat it. That would be disgusting to me.
Yes, it would.
And this stuff, you can just cut a slice. You don't even have to toast it. You put some butter on it. And we've been like adding spices and garlic and salts to our butters, and it's just making butter even better. And we already get like the good, like Kerrygold stuff from Costco. So then adding additional flavor into that, it's just awesome. So I told her I would not miss, if I could never buy bread again, I would not miss it.
And I like that. I'm going to equate this to something that I had a conversation with somebody today about. I had a buddy that was like, hey, come over to my house. I have a freezer full of pork and beef that my mother-in-law butchered, and, you know, in the right way. And it's all wrapped up and frozen. And he's like, I need somebody to take a bag full of it because my family, we're never going to get through it. So I'm like, yeah, you don't have to ask me twice. So I went over there, and I mean, literally I'm getting like linked sausages. I'm getting, you know, all kinds of like pork chops and pork butts and everything. And it gets to the part of the ground beef. And I've had this ground beef before. And when we used to raise a cow and butcher it, it's the same thing. It's it's different from what you get in the store. It tastes like chlorophyll. It has, it's, you know, because it's grass fed, and it's real grass fed. And so these are actually animals that they raised. And then the fat content's a little less. And it just has a different taste. Now, am I going to say one is better than the other? No, because you're right. Nothing beats that stuff you grew up on, the ground beef at the store that has that pretty pink color, right? You pull this out and it's not that pretty pink color, and it tastes a little different. But it was a controlled thing that, I mean, I'm down with it. I kind of love experimenting with that stuff like that. Just like with your bread, like I can only imagine when I talk to you, you know, in a month or so, like the kind of breads you're going to be playing with, you know, like I would imagine you probably, knowing you're going to get creative, and you're going to find something that you like to make with the breads, and, you know, have fun with it. But it's like, well, I think it's something I said earlier about the shelf stable stuff. So it's like when it has all these preservatives in it, it can sit on a shelf for a month. You know, you put your bread on the shelf for a month, there is going to be a quicker molding factor.
Sure.
I don't know.
Yeah. So, well, one of the things that we did is today we made our first pizza out of the dough.
Oh,
so I just went for the basic from your rules. You start with a basic pepperoni, just make it as standard as possible.
Standard. And
then I did my standard basic barbecue chicken pizza.
Solid.
So both of them were good. We were going to make Trader Joe's one as well to kind of compare it. But when I saw how big this thing was when it came out, I measured it, and it was about 980 grams on the scale. And then the Trader Joe's ones are about 450. So I was like, I'm not making 6 pizzas.
No, you're right. You're right.
So I said I made half of the dough, and then we'll make the other half probably tomorrow. Because I think she said we have 3 days to make it. So yesterday was day one.
Okay.
Today we made 2 pizzas. Tomorrow we'll make the other 2.
Nice.
And then the Trader Joe's one, no matter how healthy you think Trader Joe's is, it's good for like 2 more weeks. So
easily. Yeah, we talked about that on one of our last shows where I put one in one of those sealed like glass containers with some oil in it, and I clicked everything and sealed it, and I think I had it in there for a solid 10 days, pulled it out, and it was still, still great. So
I've had one that was a little old that I wasn't quite sure about, and it actually got more of that kind of sourdough smell to it.
Yep.
And it tasted fine.
Fermented dough is a thing, right? And it's something that we're doing on the other show where we're both going to work with a 72-hour fermented dough and come together and be like, this is what I did, and then this is what I did. And that's going to be our recipe show for that. But I like fermented dough. I think it creates a really neat, like you said, sourdoughy, kind of yeasty beer kind of flavor.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Cool, man.
That's been everything food-wise going on over here.
That's great, dude. So this is a good segue into things. Over the past like 3 months, right? I've been playing with a lot of my diet and my diet in relation to lifting. And I've had some pretty good revelations. I've had some pretty neat like gains from it. And what I did was I took out fast food for 4.5 weeks. Now, why you ask 4.5 weeks? That's when I caved. So it's not because I was like, I'm going to do 4.5 weeks. No, it's like, I'm going to take out fast food, and I caved at 4.5 weeks. And what I was doing was like 2 peanut butter jelly sandwiches for lunch, like an apple, a bunch of like we're stocking our office with like protein shakes and like little protein bars for like midday snacks. And I'm using it as creamer in my coffee. And like, I'm eating, the dinners I'm eating are we're not going out to eat as much, and we're making the food. And there's that. And I stopped eating. Okay, this is going to be stupid of me to say, but I did stop eating pizza for that month. Right. I made some in my oven, but I didn't, you know me, I was eating pizza every day.
Yeah.
Right. So I stopped eating pizzicato pizza. Let's just put it that way. Well, something I saw within the way my body was reacting to the platform was really neat. I was moving faster. I was lifting weights. I was recovering. I was lifting heavier weights. I was recovering a little bit better. And these are very minute things that I was noticing, and I'm tracking it, right? And so I'm very aware of what's going on. 4.5 weeks goes by. I'm like, man, I feel great. My sexy body's coming on. And I'm like, what's going on? This is crazy. Damon comes over and he goes, you're looking jacked. And I'm like, oh no, oh God, don't tell me that. I'm just going to get a big head. But so I break and I eat fast food, right? And then I start eating it a little bit more. And then I start eating a little bit more. And I'm like, I'm getting on the platform. And I don't know if it's simultaneously coinciding with I'm in the 4th week of a program, and I think that has a lot to do with it. My body is getting pretty beat up because the first 3 weeks were like, this is amazing.
Honeymoon phase.
What's that?
Honeymoon phase.
Honeymoon phase. So I guess the whole idea of what I'm talking about is how we adapt to new eating systems, how we adapt to new sleep schedules, and how that affects our lifting. And so, I know you're working with your sleep a lot right now. We're all talking about it, and you track it. And I think that your data that you have is really, really neat. So my question to you is, with all this like kind of movement and little experimentation with your sleep and the things that you're doing to try to get better sleep, are you noticing it translate onto the platform?
I haven't noticed too much right now. I'm also a big believer in no one night sleep, no healthy meal, no one training session is going to make anything better.
100%.
It's about what you're doing long term, longevity. It's about the consistency doing it.
Yeah.
Like someone could there's so many different little one-liners that people say about the best program versus the worst program, but the best program is going to be the one that you stick to.
Yes.
So I'm not saying the whole like it's the one that you love and it's the one that you believe. It's the one you stick to.
Yeah.
If you stick to just doing 70% EMOMs for 20 minutes 3 times a week, you're going to get better if you stick to it.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean that's the best program, but so what I'm trying to do is much more of a long-term setting. I did about 2.5, 3 months of just keeping track. And then now I'm starting to add in things, take things away, see how stuff gets affected. And yeah, there's days where I get 5.5 hours sleep and I'm like, oh, that sucked. But this is why it happened, because this was happening at work, or I had to go pick up my son from a summer party at 11 o'clock at night. And then I had to be up at 6, but I woke up stressed out at 3:30. And so some of that stuff's been happening.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, I'm exhausted, but what I'm not letting myself do is, okay, I only got 5.5 hours sleep. I'll drink 2 Monsters today.
Yeah.
I'm really trying to push on I got 5.5 hours sleep. I need to be tired, because if I am tired today or like throughout the day, I will sleep better tonight. And then if I get 5.5 hours sleep one night, I'll get 8 hours and 15 minutes the next day, and then I'll get 7:45 the next day. And it's like one bad night sleep can actually give you a handful of good night, like better night sleep, because you're recovering.
True. Yeah.
So that's kind of what is kind of going on with that right now. But it's funny. I got out my weighted blanket yesterday. I'm like, I haven't tracked anything with a weighted blanket yet.
See, and that's what it's all about. It's data driven. I would like to kind of add to what you said about the best program. And I think one of the way I kind of look at the best program, there is no best program except for the one that makes you happy, the one that you stick to, and the one that feeds your weightlifting. And what I mean by that is I think that every program I have done has taught me something. And I'll be straight up with everybody. I've done in my weight in the now 7 years that I've lifted weights or been a weightlifter, lifted weights. The 7 years I've been a weightlifter, I've done 4 different programs. And I've learned valuable lessons from all of those. And I think that, it's so easy to be like, F this program, I'm going to a better one. No, take some time, be happy with it, learn, use it, see if there's any progressions. And then if it's not feeding your cup, it's not filling your cup, move on to the next one. That's okay. Because like you said in the beginning, the best program is the one that you stick to. And I would have to say that my favorite program that I've done is weightlifting. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like anybody can type numbers on a piece of paper or put it into Train Heroic or do whatever. I've been lifting long enough where I could write a program for somebody, and it's not going to be like ultra, like I don't have a PhD or I don't have anything out there that's saying I'm this great weightlifting coach, but I could write a basic program for you. And I bet you could probably gain some stuff from that based off of knowledge. You are the same way. And you've done that for people. But as far as saying that there's a best program, there's not. It's an individualistic thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And so what I'm starting to realize in my old age, this has kind of just come to me in the last little while, probably maybe like the past week. I don't even think we've talked about it on Marco Polo.
Okay. I
am starting to believe more and more that even if you love what you're doing, it's only going to last for so long.
Correct.
And what I think is the best thing out there is there's 4 seasons in the year.
Mm-hmm.
You're probably going to, what I've found I'm trying to like figure out the right words, but what I'm finding is I probably change my sleeping habits 4 times a year.
Yeah.
Like I will get the weighted blanket out. I will use it. It'll work amazing. And then 3 to 6 weeks later, it's not doing anything anymore.
Yep.
And then I'll switch to a super light blanket that has almost no warmth at all. And then that works great. And then I go to a light, fluffy, big blanket. And I'm just switching things up. And then I'm switching what I'm taking at night to help me sleep. I think that same thing with if you ate super clean for 3 months,
Mm-hmm.
probably going to start feeling better. You're going to move faster. It's going to work. But then maybe about 8 weeks in, you're not going to be improving anymore. And it's not going to be getting better.
Yep.
And maybe that's at the time where it's like, hey, you have to add in some more of the little dirty stuff, a little more ice cream, a little more like fried food, little bits of this and that. And then you'll be like, oh, well, like once you get that initial, like get over the poops, like you're going to be, then all of a sudden you'll be like, oh, I feel so much stronger now. Cause I'm taking in an extra 800-900 calories a day.
Yeah.
But then that's only going to last for so long. And then you might switch over to, I need a bunch more protein. And then, so I'm seeing that there's a lot of seasons, and that's how you spice things up. You keep it interesting. And I think that same thing with programming is, I know certain people that they will just stick to the same thing over and over and over and over and over. And it's like, oh, we're doing this again. We've done I know that I think Kendrick Ferris did the same program his whole life.
Yeah.
On Thursdays, he did sets of 10 in the squat. And I remember hearing a podcast where they were talking about him, and it was kind of throwing him off because when he was at the Olympics, he wasn't lifting on the day he's been doing for years.
Yeah. I mean, it's 2 words come to mind. It's adaptability and evolve. So as weightlifters, we need to evolve in the sport to keep that love alive, to keep that burning fire. We need to evolve. But in order to evolve, we have to be adaptable to change or to not. I think, and I like what you're saying, because there's not one thing that's going to make you a great weightlifter. You have to keep on moving and shaking, like shake and bake, baby, like shake and freaking bake, right? Yeah. Like that's what it's all about is getting out there. And now I'm going to bring it down to like a really humanistic level of I don't know if that's a word, but humanistic level. That's what we're doing. We are humans. Our lives are driven by seasons, in the most basic way. As it gets cold out, we start doing things with our homes and turning on heat and dressing differently and eating differently. It's the same thing with weightlifting, as you're saying. It's based off of seasons. You have to have seasons where you act differently within the sport to continue to love and continue to drive and continue to progress.
Yeah. And if you look at like a peak in a typical program, if you just looked up a graph for a peak, like a 3-month cycle, it's going to show you go up. You're going to take 10 steps forward. Then you're going to take 4 steps back.
Yep.
And you're going to take 6 steps forward. And then you're going to take 1 step back. And then hopefully you're going to take 6 more steps forward, compete, and then you're going to take 10 steps back. But you're still going to be further ahead than you were.
Yeah.
And I think that there's also like a lot of people who just want to push. And they don't understand that it's not how it's going to work. Like I get honestly really bummed when I see some of my old friends that are just pushing. And they went on a different program, got a different coach, and then they started progressing, and they're posting all their lifts, and then go back to this team that they were on. And I'm like, I haven't seen anyone make a lift in weeks.
Yeah, no, it's mind blowing. I'll throw myself under the bus on this one. You would have talked to me like 3 years ago, and the cycle that I'm in right now, which I know it because of experience and repetition of doing it. Honeymoon stage in a new program. And I'm about hitting that plateau where I'm like, okay, shit's going to start going downwards.
Yeah.
And that happened on Monday. Like I was 3 weeks with like no misses in anything.
Mm-hmm.
And it was awesome. But then I started missing and I'm like, what's going on? What's moving different? My body's moving differently. I'm a little beat up. Okay. So 3 years ago, I would have been like, I don't know what's going on with me. Something's messed up. I got to figure this out, and being all bummed and like down and like, and I know that about myself, and I'm perfectly confident in saying that. But now I'm looking at it like, all right, I know where this is leading.
Nice.
Like I know, yesterday, I had the weirdest complex. It was, they wanted me to, it was a hang. It's not even weird, but the way that I had it, I was doing it was weird. It was a hang snatch plus a full snatch. I ended up changing it to a full snatch plus a hang snatch because that makes more sense to my central nervous system. But it took me two sets to figure that out. I was missing, and like, it's okay. Because I wasn't missing to the point where I didn't know how to weightlift, but I was missing on heavier weights that I've made the week prior, but my body is different.
Sure.
I also think, and I want to get your opinion on this because this is kind of something that's been tossing around in my head. When you do start that new program or whatever, or maybe you did a squat cycle and you gained muscle, do you think that there is an adaptation stage in which your body has to re-regulate for the new muscle within the technique? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm not saying that's what it is. I'm just asking your opinion.
Yeah, I don't know. So I don't know. But what I do know is that if you go through a squat cycle or a strength cycle, your knife's not sharp for the lifts. So you're trying to do stuff that you've never done before with technique that you haven't done in a while.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, thank you for applying logic to that. you know me. I like to really go down these like super deep dives of these crazy strategies and thoughts and ideas. And for anybody listening, like this is not me acting like I know what I'm talking about or having some sort of like degree in anything. It's just like me being aware of my body and being like, hey, well, my body's moving differently in the clean and jerks. Maybe it's because my legs are getting stronger from all the heavy pulls and I've just got to readjust and get my technique back to where it was.
Sure.
No, yeah. It could be a number of things, but who knows? Either way. I just think that what you said about the seasons, spot on, dude. Spot on.
Yeah, like I'm actually in a very weird place right now. So we haven't even talked because I just started figuring this out. I told you a little bit. You know how little I squat.
Yeah.
So I'm tentatively. So I'm going to Tennessee next Wednesday, and I'll be gone till Monday. And I don't realistically know how much lifting I'll be able to get in.
Right.
So it's a family business trip. Don't let anyone know, but we're potentially looking for a place to move to.
Secret is safe here.
We've been there a couple of times, and this is kind of one of the potentially last business trips out there.
Yeah.
So, but it's not going to happen anytime in the next year.
Right.
But so I can't go like, oh, well, I have to hit this gym on this day, and I'm going to go to this gym on this day, and I'm going to go here. But I'm pretty much right now, I decided that I'm going to do a modified version of the squats that work for me. So the squats that work for me are 5 sets of 5 for 3 weeks. Week 4, I always get hurt. So I don't go to week 4. I do 3 weeks. I take a week off, and then I generally compete, and I'm going to be as strong as I can get.
Yeah.
So I modified it to, I'm just going to do 3 sets of 3, but I'm also starting a lot heavier. So normally I would go like 20, 30, 40 test, 30, 40, 50 test, 50, 60, 70 test, no belt, no knee wraps, no anything. You just 5 sets of 5.
Yeah.
So I started with a base level 3 rep max at 185 on Saturday. Monday, I did 3x3 at 150. Today I did 160. Friday, I'll do 170.
Okay.
Then I'll drop it back. Next week, I will do 60, 70, 80. And then hopefully the following week, I will do, holy crap, uh, 70, 80, 90. And then I'll cut it. Yeah. And then I won't squat for probably another month. And then I will be about 4 weeks out from the rep max meet that I'm going to do. And then I'll probably do some modified version of that for 3 weeks, take it off, and then go compete. But my body doesn't like the volume and my body doesn't like the intensity of squatting. Mm-hmm. So I'm literally doing the percentages of a girl. Literally, one of the people that I'm working, that I lift with regularly. Today, I used her bar.
Nice. Oh, I love that, dude.
I was hitting pull plus snatch from the blocks at 60 kilos today for like 9 sets.
When's the last time you did that?
I don't know. But like, I don't want to get too into this whole 15 kilo bar thing.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, the way it feels in your hand, that's all.
So, but I was like, I've also been having like some weird big knots in my shoulders that I can't seem to get rid of. So I'm like, all right, I'm working those knots out of the shoulders. I'm getting the legs stronger. I'm continuing to move the way that I know how to move, but I'm also perfect technique because I'm moving weight that's so light and easy that it's a little bit more in the PVC pipe, but I'm not going to miss. I will probably have no misses for the next month and a half.
Right.
Not that I miss that often anyway, but I've never tried this route before where I'm going to push the squats and I'm going to completely pull back on everything else. And then I also added in some more bodybuilding.
Nice.
So
I like that.
We'll see how it goes.
I mean, just definitely keep us in the loop. I'm very interested to see how that goes.
I wonder if I could get her to use my bar.
Seriously.
I mean, she wore straps and I didn't hook grip. So,
okay. Well, there you go. I mean, straps, you could definitely do that. That is one thing that I have recently pulled out are my straps, and I've started using them. And it's primarily because the first week of this, I mean, there's a lot of heavy pulls in this new program I'm doing, and it was tearing up my hands. I was right. I mean, I'm not using straps. My grip strength is great. Yeah, my grip strength is great, but my skin on my hands is not.
Sure.
So I started using straps on the heavy complexes in the snatch and all of my heavy pulls. And I mean, again, it's just adapting. It's adapting to the program. And there's been times where I've been like, you don't need straps. And then I'm like, you need straps. Just adapt to what the program is asking you to do. That's why we have all these tools, right? I mean.
And the other thing you can do is if you don't want to get too dependent, every other rep.
Yeah, exactly. I did that on Monday.
50% less beat up on your hands than you did the week before.
Yeah, I did that on Monday where I did half the reps with no straps and then half the reps with straps.
Nice.
Yeah, and I think it just builds it builds the ability to be adaptable. And when you're competing, adaptability is a very strong tool to have.
Yeah. So I've got a challenge for you to try.
Awesome, into it.
And anyone else who wants to try it, but I'm more speaking to the men with stronger hands.
Okay, cool.
I mean, if you're a woman, I'll send you $100 if you can do this.
Hell yeah.
So
somebody take that.
Take 2 yellow plates, and yes, yellow plates are dependent on what you got.
Okay.
We did it, I believe, with neons or rogues.
Okay.
2 yellow plates. Pick them up with one hand.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
Yeah. But yes, it is. I agree.
One of my buddies is a power lifter and he could not get it. And he just squatted. He did a super total weightlifting competition one day, powerlifting the next day. And he squatted 249 or something. He deadlifted like 700 or close to it, 690.
Wow. Okay.
benched. I don't know what he benched. I don't care. And then he did a weightlifting competition. So
Okay.
he couldn't do it.
He couldn't lift. So it's 2 plates, 1 hand.
2 plates
Right.
in 1 hand. Yep. So
Wow,
there
I
is some
really wanna try
technique
that.
to it, but
Okay.
I'm not going to give it all away.
Yeah, the 2 plates part makes me think that there's a bit of tension that you have to put to keep those plates together, because I can do it with blue plates. You know, there's about a month ago I was doing like once a week where I would have put blue plates in each hand and I'd walk to the stop sign and back. Not
Sure.
to say I didn't stop and put them down periodically, but I'm definitely gonna try that. I'm very interested right now. And then
So
I
the
know
hard
that,
part is it's wider than a red
yeah,
and it's 30 kilos.
and it's 30 kilos. Exactly.
So it's heavy and you only have 1 hand to do it.
Did
So
you
I can do it on
have
both
you
sides.
done it?
Yeah, I did it.
Okay.
I did it on both sides.
Okay. Did you chalk up at all, or is it just like just go for it?
I think I did,
Yeah.
but I've done it multiple times now. So
Okay.
I don't think I did every time.
Okay. I like that. I'm going to take that challenge. And that could be fun. You know, grip strength is a big part of what we do. And I think that's anybody out there that if you do this, post it or send us a video, tag us in it or anything like that. I think that'd be fun. I'll throw something up on Max Effort Kitchen if I can get it done. Or maybe you'll just see me fail at it. Who knows?
Yeah. The funny part is this powerlifter, though, he's one of the guys who can flip red plates. So
Oh, really?
I don't
Okay.
know why he couldn't do it.
Does he have small hands?
Not really. And his
Okay.
arms are real long. It was one of those things where we're the same height, but then we raised our hands next to each other and his arms are like 5 inches longer than mine.
Jesus.
So that's why he deadlifts so much.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I get that.
So
Interesting. Okay. Well, I'm definitely going to take that challenge. I think that's great. We're sitting at about 42 minutes. Cornell, dude, I'm glad that we're back on the mic. I was missing the show. We've had a busy time, busy summer. It's the way it goes.
season.
It's a season. You know, but we're gonna do another show on Sunday so we can get one in, and then the following Sunday we will not be doing the show. Yeah, dude, thanks. This is a great show. Had some fun. I'm gonna do the challenge for everybody out there. Do the challenge, tag us in it, and thanks for listening. Adios.
Bye.